Okay, we're gonna react to the development of Carlson. Carlson. Okay, Carlson. No. Yes, this is Carlson. The creator of Carlson is Danny. So yeah.
Why you don't try make a 3D game? Or you can't do that? So, because Jotaro roasted me for not being able to make a 3D game, the only solution is to, well, learn how to make a 3D game. Because you know what they say, 3D games are pretty cool. Now, I've only ever made games in 2D before, so it's time to step up my dimensions. I started my journey by loading up a new Unity project. Oh, and before going any further, I have to apologize to all of you for not uploading since last year. Get it? Because it's New Year? I also added a capsule which will serve as our player. Now we just need a way to move him. So I got to work with Bracky's tutorial using the character controller in Unity. But the main problem is that I like physics and the character controller doesn't really do that. So I just scrapped it all, slapped on a rigid body on my player instead, and now I have to write my own movement script. Now this requires a lot of vector calculations and I don't like vectors or calculations, so yeah, it's kind of a problem. But eventually I threw this basic movement together, which was simple enough. The only problem though is that the player is very sloppy and slides around like a fish, if a fish had legs and, well, if it could walk and such. So I guess it's not really like a fish at all, but I mean, so to solve this I added some counter movement, which made the movement feel much more snappy and you actually stop instead of doing the slippery sloppery wish wish. And before going any further, I found some prototype materials and added some post-processing, and just like that it's much prettier to look at. So the plan is to make a parkour game with guns and explosions and cool stuff, kind of like Karlson, but 3D. And so I started by making a grappling gun, because I like grappling guns and it's my game, so I can do whatever I want to, and I'm probably gonna improve it later on, but for now I think it gets the job done. A very important aspect of a parkour game, or pretty much any game, is the movement. So I started by implementing sliding. Basically, if you hold down control, you can slide down slopes and build up speed, and it's pretty cool. Then I got started on wall running. This is actually pretty tricky to get right, so for now I'm gonna leave it at this and then come back to it later. And then I added crouching, so you actually become smaller when you slide. I kept it simple, so I literally just scaled the player down when crouching, which, you know, this might not be the most realistic or best approach, but it works, so I don't care. So as the movement is coming together pretty well, let's try and add some guns so we can, you know, perform the pew pew if you catch my drift. So to do that, we need to actually make a gun, which brings us to my first problem. I don't know how to make 3D models. So, and with the help of my boy Big Brack, I started my modeling adventure using ProBuilder. Oh, you're wondering why I'm not using Blender? Pfft, Blender? More like bleh. And ta-da, it looks fucking terrible. Nice. Whatever, I don't care. Now to make the grappling gun look better. I'm gonna try and replicate Will Nill's grappling gun because it's fucking amazing. Check him out on Twitter. He's the guy who made Stick Fight the game and tons of other cool stuff. So, you know, yeah, you should give him a follow. For starters, the rope is now coming out of the tip of the gun, which is usually the case, and it's no longer ass colored, which is a good start. Then I made the gun rotate towards the rope, which was an easy task for me. I totally didn't spend 5 hours trying to figure out how to do it. I wanna die. Anyway, here are the 7 lines of code that took me 5 hours to figure out, because who the flying fuck knows how a quaternion works? What the fuck even is a quaternion? I don't know. Does anyone know? And why is it called a quaternion? What is this fucking alien language? God. Oh, and I also made the gun move up and down a bit so it looks more dynamic and kind of like you're holding it, which, yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, we got guns, but you know, what's the point of pew-pews if we don't have anything to pew-pew at, you know? So it's time to make an enemy. And using ProBuilder, I started with a head and worked my way down. And yeah, I don't need to use Blender. This is actually very easy to do with ProBuilder. And here's the result. It's looking... after doing some research, I've decided to learn 3D modeling in Blender instead of ProBuilder. So I created my first model, which is totally not just me following a tutorial on YouTube. Anyway, after that I rigged my character with another tutorial by this guy Sebastian League. Is that even how I pronounce it? I don't know. Hopefully Sebastian doesn't watch this because he is in a league of his own. Get it? Cause League, his name is League, yeah. So I finally got my enemy into Unity. Oh, you thought I was going to make the animations in Blender, which would save me a lot of time, something any sensible person would do? Nah, that ain't me, chief, so I made them in Unity. And there we go, a little idle animation. Now let's check out how it looks in-game from the player view. Oh, that's massive. Almost as big as your mom. And so I scaled him down a bit to match the player's size. Oh, and if you know anything about me, you know I like ragdolls. They just make me go yes. And so I made the enemy do the flop and become a ragdoll. But it looks more like he's trying to do yoga or something. I'm pretty sure that's a yoga move right there. Now, I'm sure yoga is healthy and all, but we're not trying to make a yoga game here. Come on, we're trying to shoot some bad guys, run on some walls and other cool manly stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I had to scrap the yoga and it's now much more like an actual ragdoll, which makes me go actually yes. Guys, this is literally me after a long day of work. Smash like now if relatable, guys, and also remember to smash subscribe now, slappers. I then tried to make him rotate towards me so he can aim a gun at me and got some interesting results at first. But eventually I got it working properly and he will now rotate his body and head to look at you. I also want him to hold a gun and actually rotate his arms towards you because currently he's looking more like a traffic director, which is kind of weird. And after some more coding, I finally got him to look at me. Or not. I also got the ragdoll working, so whenever he dies, he will turn into a proper ragdoll. So now that he can die, we need to make a pickup system, so you can grab guns and other stuff and end his career. It was fairly simple to do, and I also made it a bit smoother with these lines of code. And I made it possible to drop the gun as well, though if you keep doing it, your gun turns into a stick. I'm not really sure why, so I guess you can say that leaves me in a bit of a sticky situation, huh? Oh, and also, as the very famous Leonardo da Vinci used to say, what's the point of a gun if you can't shoot it, lol? So I added shooting, but it looks really bad because the gun does not move at all. So I created a muzzle flash and smoke using Unity's particle system, which makes it look a bit better. And of course, some recoil, because as Newton used to say in his third law of motion, if boy goes boom, other boy goes kapow, but opposite and stuff, yeah, physics. Pretty cool. Shooting sounds and screen shake, yeah. Then I messed around with Unity's nav mesh system, which will allow the enemies to follow me, even when behind objects. I also made it so they will only follow you once you've been spotted, and with that we need to make a run animation, so they don't just slide towards you, because it looks kinda weird. And after a while I put together this, though it looks a bit weird because of his arms. Obviously, I'm not gonna keep such a silly animation in the game as it would completely ruin my reputation as a very serious game developer. So I fixed it up and he will now Naruto run after you. Much better. I messed a bit more with the animations and transitions, and I also gave him a gun and the ability to shoot me. And if you get hit by a bullet, you fall down and can't move, which is typically what happens if you get shot, I think. I haven't been shot before, but you know. And finally I got back to working on the wall running again, and after a lot of coding and testing around, I got it working pretty good. Now the biggest change is that once you start a wall run, you are actually stuck to the wall and you have to wall jump off of it again. The camera also tilts, which makes it feel much better. We also need more guns, so I slapped together an AK using ProBuilder of course, and it turned out to be an absolute failure, just like my life. Comedy gold, boys. Anyway, here it is in action. It's pretty cool, but I definitely need to work on the animations because they don't look very smooth at all. It's kinda whack. But with that being done, I put everything together to showcase what the game is like so far. So that's pretty cool and all, but I think I can do better. So I did better. But that's for the next part of this video, so y'all better smash subscribe now, smashers, so you don't miss it, because definitely don't want to miss it. And there's probably a download link for the game in the description if it's ready right now, so you can play the game how it is so far, but I'm not quite sure if it's ready by the time this video is up. Anyway, thanks for watching, make sure to smash like if you like, smash dislike if you don't like, and as always, drink your milk, hit the sack, and for the love of God, don't be whack, cause that's kinda whack. Welcome back to another episode of I don't know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. In the last episode, Jotaro challenged me to make a 3D game. Why you don't try make a 3D game? Or you can't do that? So I made a first-person parkour thing, and today we're gonna finish it and upload it for everyone to play. I started off by adding some subtle speed lines at the very edges of the screen that indicate how fast you're going and also makes you feel like an airplane, which, you know, is pretty cool because airplanes are cool. And I achieved this effect using a particle system in front of the player. Next up, I finished the grappling gun by animating the rope and making the swinging more realistic and fun to play around with. So with the basics done, we have to make some maps so you can actually play the game, cause you know, that'd be pretty cool. I got to work on the first map, which is a tutorial level. It's pretty straightforward and just teaches you how to play. It's just like my grandma used to tell me, bruh, Danny, tutorials are lit, yeah. A big problem with the grappling gun is that it's very hard to aim while moving at high speeds, so I implemented an auto-aim feature that helps you aim at the spot closest to your aim. And with that done, we can go back to working on maps again. So I started putting together the first level, which is like literally just a couple of boxes, and a table. Don't forget the table, it's a fine table, handcrafted by yours truly. I made sure to build it strong and sturdy so it doesn't fall apart and can take a bit of a... Physics make me go yes. So I did some coding and just like that you can now pick up and throw objects around, which is pretty fun. Smash like now if this makes you go yes. Now as you know, ragdolls make me go very much yes. So of course I implemented the ability to drag around and play with ragdolls, because who doesn't like to play around with dead bodies, am I right? Come on, is that just me or... Yeah, it's just me? Shit. FBI, open up! And I implemented a line that shows you how you're dragging an object, which leads us to this clip. So doors are pretty cool since you can walk through them and stuff, so I'm gonna make my first model using Blender, which will be a door. And when I say model, I mean literally just a rectangle, because I don't know how to do more than that in Blender, okay? Don't judge me. Guys, this is literally me when I walk through a door. Smash subscribe now if that's totally relatable, guys. Then I used a Blender plugin to split the door into pieces, and using this, we now have a destructible door. Have you ever stopped and considered, why do I have ears? Probably not, because you're not a big brain like me, but it's actually so you can hear sounds and stuff. So I found some free sound effects from GDC and made a slow motion sound effect using Fruity Loops, and here is the result. If milk was considered alcohol, I would probably be an alcoholic, because I drink a lot of milk. I don't know where I'm going with this, so anyway, I modeled a milk carton in Blender, which is probably my first model that's not just a cube. Yeah, this is pretty advanced shit. We're doing a triangle on top of a cube. Yeah, I know, insane. Then I slapped it into the game, turned it into a spinny boy, and also gave it a white outline. So the goal of the game is to reach the milk, because the bad guys took it from you, so now you have to get it back. based on a true story. I'll never forgive you, Johnny, you fucking sack of shit. Anyway, I also added a timer because this game is based on my 2D game Karlson, which people started speedrunning for some reason, so I figured I might as well add a timer then. Oh, and like Obama once said in a presidential speech, Danny, you dumbass, you need to make a main menu. So I got to work on a main menu, which I spent like 5 hours on, and I was really happy with it. And then I managed to fucking delete the entire thing, and now I don't have it anymore. So a pro tip to all of you game devs out there, don't be an idiot like me, just don't be like me at all, and you're probably fine. So I put it all together again, and here it is in all of its glory. I also added a setting to lower the graphics for all of my boys out there with bad computers. And your best time on maps will also be displayed now. But as you might be able to tell, this room is about as empty as my brain, which was pretty goddamn empty. So we need to make some more models. And so I got to work on some office props. I started with a locker, then I made a computer screen, and here it all is in game. It's looking pretty good, but I feel like something is missing, and I'm not sure exactly what that... Every good game has explosions, so first I made an explosive barrel model in Blender, which is probably the coolest goddamn cylinder you've ever seen in your life. I also made a texture in Photoshop, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never done this before, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. But anyway, so I tried a texture and it failed miserably, like my life. Man, these jokes are getting pretty old. But after some messing around, I got it working properly, and here it is in action. It's not really action, it's kind of just standing still, but there it is, you know what I'm saying? An explosive barrel in the middle of an office. Totally natural. And using Unity's particle system, I made an explosion effect, which, if I may say so myself, it's looking pretty fucking sick. And here is the result of everything we've put together so far. It's all coming together really nicely, and I'm pretty happy with the progress so far. It would be a damn shame if something were to happen, like for example the entire project getting corrupted because of a blackout or something, you know, that's just silly. So the project is fucked, tons of files are corrupted, nothing works, many errors, nice. But by some miracle, my friend warned me of the power being cut in the area, so I made a backup literally 10 minutes before it happened. I'm not even kidding. Shout out to Evil for saving my fucking ass. We're back in action, baby, let's go! And now I need to make more maps for everyone to play. So first I made a sandbox level, which has a ton of obstacles, enemies, and props to play around with. Oh, and you can also rocket jump on explosions, which, you know, is pretty cool. Then I made a second sandbox level, which is pretty much the map you saw in the first part of this video, but with a bit more things around the level to mess around with. And the reason I'm making a lot of these sandbox levels is because they're easy to make and still pretty fun to play on. After some playtesting, I realized that it's kinda hard to notice when you're in slow motion, so to fix this I added a distortion filter so you can hear when you're in slow motion. So let's give it a try and see what it sounds like. After blowing out my eardrums and turning my brain into liquid, I cleaned up the mess and then fixed it, and the slow motion now feels much better as it's very clear whenever it happens. Then I got to work on some gun models in Blender to spice up the graphics a bit because it looks a bit bland currently. So I started with a pistol, then I made an SMG Uzi thing, I don't know, and I also made a new grappler gun. So here you can see them in action. It's just a bit prettier to look at than what was previously in the game because they were just kind of squares. So yeah, it's a bit cooler. I also put together a shotgun, which is probably my best model so far, and I gave it a ton of recoil so you can use it to fly around. And finally, I made some sort of grenade launcher, pistol, futuristic thing, I don't know, it shoots explosive bullets, which is pretty cool, and since I'm not really sure exactly what this is, I'm just gonna call it a boomer, cause it goes boom, and yeah. And you can use it to blow up enemies, but more importantly, you can use it to blow up yourself, which is great, cause rocket jumps are sick. Obviously, this and the shotgun is highly inspired by Team Fortress 2. And finally, I got back to making some more maps. Now the second map is just a bit of parkour and enemies and stuff, and suddenly, boom, lava, what the fuck? And for the third map, I just said fuck it and made lava everywhere, because lava is kind of cool, I guess. This one is just high-speed grappling, sliding, jumping through holes and all of that fun stuff, so not really a whole lot of enemies, not really a whole lot of purpose, but there's lava and there's jumps, so that's pretty cool. Obviously, these maps are pretty bad and rushed and only took me a couple of hours to make because I have to get this video done and uploaded by Friday, so I don't really have time for much more than this. But I would love to work more on them in the future and possibly introduce a map editor so I can get you guys to do the job for me, because then I don't have to do anything, which is great. Then Evan King uploaded a new song on his channel, and since the game currently doesn't have any music and this song is absolutely slapping, I put it into the game. And there's a link to Evan's channel down below. Go subscribe now or I will slap you with a sack. I also added some more settings and finally some more maps, so there's a bit more gameplay to play. And I set up a Steam page since I want to keep working on the game and turn it into a full release. So if you follow the link in the description, you can wishlist the game on Steam, and if the link doesn't work, then you'll have to wait a couple of days until the page has been approved by Steam. Then I uploaded the game to itch.io, so if you follow the link in the description down below, you can download the game for completely free, and I'm not supposed to give my personal opinion here, but that's a great price. It's available for Windows, Mac and Linux, though I haven't tested it on Linux and Mac, so I can't really confirm if it works there or not. Do keep in mind it's all pretty rushed, there are still many bugs, the movement is kinda wonky and definitely needs some work, especially when it comes to wall running, because for example if you hit the roof or something, things get a bit weird. But that being said, it's still a fun little game. Also, big shout out to Evil and Janik on Discord who playtested the game and gave me tons of great feedback. A lot of people have also asked for source code for the movement, so I'll upload that and post it on my tutorial channel when I have cleaned it up a bit. Link to my tutorial channel is in the description down below. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash subscribe for more trashy content like this, because at 1 million subscribers, I'm doing a milk reveal and you definitely don't want to miss that. Smash like if you liked the video, smash dislike if you don't, and remember, hit the sack, drink milk, and don't be whack, you wacko. Thousand subscribers, so here you go, weirdos. Enjoy my why you don't try make multiplayer game, or you can't do that. Can you make a multiplayer game? Why you can't make a multiplayer game? Okay, hey, chill, stop. I get it, I'll make a multiplayer game, okay boys? So ever since I made my first 3D game Karlson in the last videos, you guys have filled my comment section with this shit. So I guess I have no choice but to turn Karlson into a multiplayer game now. If you don't know what Karlson is, it's basically a first-person parkour milk drinking game or something. I don't really know. But you can just watch my previous videos if you want to know more about it. So before adding online multiplayer, I want to slightly just pimp up Karlson a bit. So first off, I added hyperspeed. And then I got to work on adding reloading, since currently all the guns have infinite ammo, which is kind of weird. So I made a quick ammo icon in Photoshop, found some free sound effects online, did some more programming, and just like that we now have an ammo counter and reload animations. And when I say reload animations, I mean spinny boys, because I'm too lazy to actually make animations. And I mean, come on, look at that sweet spin, it just makes me go yes. I also changed the explosion effect so it clearly says boom, because some people might be blind and can't see the explosion, so at least now they can read it. Yeah, I know, I'm a considerable guy, what can I say?
It's funny because blind people can't read either.
Now, as you might know, our character Karlson is actually just a bean, and I'ma be completely honest with ya, Karlson be looking kinda thick. But since we're turning it into a multiplayer game and I don't really want beans running around shooting each other, I had to change it up and gave him an actual body. But yeah, I don't know. So I added some more animations. It still looks like shit. I don't even know what's going on. Anyway, a lot of people have asked me to be able to see the player's feet when you slide into enemies, so I did just that, and now it looks pretty cool. Oh, turn it off! They're not supposed to see that clip. Shit. Anyway, just pretend you didn't see that last clip and the animations are now perfect. Hell yeah. So it's time to make multiplayer. Now here's the first problem. I'm pretty dumb. Now the second problem is that I don't know anything about making multiplayer or networking. Zero, nada karabush, nothing. So there's only one thing to do. I quickly found a great tutorial series on YouTube by Tom Wieland showing you how to set up a dedicated server using C# and then using that with Unity. There's a link to his videos in the description down below. You should seriously check them out because they really helped me set up the back end of the multiplayer stuff. But now I've finished the tutorial series, which means I'm on my own without the slightest clue of what the heck I'm doing. So, I mean, just look at this mess. I have no idea what's happening on my screen right now. Why is there a bean? What's going on? So I did some more coding and we now have 2 players on the server and character models working. You can even look around and the other players can see you looking around, which is pretty sick because in real life you can also see when other people are looking around. And it's like my dad used to say, looking around is cool. And then I spent like 1 hour staring at my screen and I wrote 2 lines of code and we now have animations. Now, some people might say, hey, those animations are kind of whack. But I have no idea what you're talking about. It looks fine to me, it's perfect. So now that the animations are perfect, I put a little map together and several players can now join the server, move around and slide, I guess, I don't know. Then I got some of my imaginary friends to join the server and we tested out the game a bit. I don't know about them, but I had a lot of fun pushing them out of the map and being an asshole and killing them.
Please, fuck off.
And of course, you win by grabbing that sweet, sweet milk at the end of the map. Man, just playing this game makes me thirst for some good milk, am I right, boys? Also, we now have epic milk merch, represent.com/shop/Danny, link in the description down below. But okay, maybe, just maybe, the animations aren't that great, so let's work on them a bit more. First, I made the head of the player look towards where the player is looking. But he also needs to actually hold the gun in his hands, so I made him do that, and Let's try that again. Oh sweet Jesus Lord, is that a floating gun? I tried again, but the results are kind of questionable. I don't know. So since it appears I'm too dumb to get this working, we need to... And I concluded we need to use inverse kinematics. Now, if you don't know what inverse kinematics are, it's basically just kinematics, but inverse. Yeah, you're welcome. So I found a good tutorial on YouTube, and after stealing the code from that video, and after completing the tutorial and following along and using my newfound knowledge, I put inverse kinematics on the player's arm, and we went from this to this. Wait, to this, which is looking, you know, just slightly better than before. I also worked on just upgrading all of the all-around animations, so for example running and jumping, and here they all are in action. It's looking a bit better. And if you didn't already know, I'm a huge fan of ragdolls. They make me go, yes, thick! So I made the players turn into ragdolls when they die. Then I put together a big arena inspired by the size of your mom. Invited all of the friends that I don't have. And we played a round of the first online karlson. It wasn't perfect, but it was fun, although there are some major issues, especially when it comes to hit detection. A lot of the time when you shot someone, nothing really happened, and everything is also client-side, and I'm not gonna bore you with all of the details, but essentially it's very easy to cheat if everything is client-side. Therefore, we need to make the server handle and authorize everything, which is much harder to do, especially for a dumbass like me. So, since I have no idea what I'm actually doing, I turned to Google and I started researching. I read a lot of articles, especially from Valve, on how they did multiplayer for source games, like Counter-Strike or Team Fortress 2. And after 4 days of continuous work, everything is now server-side. And I've also finally implemented client-side prediction, which means I can finally check that off my list. Man, it feels good to be done. With 10% done, no. So I said fuck it and hit the sack. Then I got back up next morning, drank some more milk and got to work. And after implementing most of the features needed for the server to work, I also made a new model for a pistol and a knife. They both turned out pretty cool, and apparently you can shoot with the knife, so that's pretty nice, I guess. I also finally made another pistol which fires a bit slower but will one-hit enemies. The only thing missing now is, well, the map. So I got to work on making the first PvP arena. And after some time, the map is finished. It's not perfect, but it's the first time I've spent more than 10 minutes making a map, and also the first time I messed with baked lighting. And with all of this, we're ready to finally put Karlson online to the test. I've made the server system so that anyone can host a server on their computer by just downloading the server files. So to demonstrate this, instead of hosting the server on my own computer, I set up a Linux server using Google Cloud Services and stuff, and after typing some things on a cool hacker screen, the server is now up and running. All that's left now is to, well, get the boys together and play a match of Karlson. But before we get started, if you want to try the game out for yourself in the future, you will have to wait for it to come out on Steam. So make sure you wish this Karlson now slappers to get notified whenever it's available. But without further ado, let's just get this road on the show, wait. So we can simply join the server by typing our username and the IP address of the server. I've invited some of the world record holders for Karlson speedruns because people like speedrunning Karlson apparently. They're pretty damn good at it as well. So most of the players here are very good at Karlson, but I'm only going to show you clips where I look good, of course, because as you can probably tell, I've added a bunch more sound effects and worked a lot on making the movement and gunplay feel better. The movement itself is very inspired by Counter-Strike and Team Fortress, so there's a lot of air strafing and high speed. Now obviously, as you can probably tell, this is far from finished, and I'm gonna add more guns, classes, loadouts, and a map creator so you can play custom maps. But this will all take a long time to add and won't be available until I release the full game. Oh my god. But even if it's very unfinished, we still had a lot of fun playing, and it has a lot of potential once I get working more on it. I'll definitely add better looking models for the players because they're all just kind of blue boys running around, and of course better animations and much more. So there it is, my first multiplayer game. I spent like 2 weeks learning all of this, but it was a ton of fun making. Again, make sure to check out the Steam page in the description down below and wishlist Karlson on Steam right now, slappers. Also check out merch, link below. I'll probably also Facebook.
Garnier Men Active Fight dengan salicylic acid lawan jerawat nyaman di kulit. Buktikan sekarang.
Satu saset Frisian Flag, kuat berenergi, menangkan banyak ojekan. Yuk beli!
Oh, look at that. He's so cute. I just want... Oh, no! I'm currently making a game called Karlson, which you can wishlist on Steam, by the way, and in my previous video, I turned it into a multiplayer game. Now, here's the problem with multiplayer games. It's literally in the name. Multiplayer. Multiple players. You know what that means? You need friends to play, and guess what, motherfucker? I ain't got none of those friends, okay? So for all of my boys out there with no friends like me, I'm gonna make a single player for Karlson. Now, usually I don't do any planning or research or any of that smart stuff. Because come on, you know, that's just for nerds. Which is also probably why I ended up in my parents' basement making YouTube videos. But this time I actually sat down and did some planning before getting started. And then after 5 minutes I gave up. Anyway, I started modeling a security camera. So if you didn't watch my first videos on Karlson, you basically start in this closed facility prison kind of thing. So I want to make a story out of that, which is, you know, totally not inspired by games like Portal or anything. What do you mean, dude? Then I had a quick milk break and had some delicious milk before making another model, which is just a vent because all epic gamers know that escaping through vents is epic. I also made a grab icon to show when you can grab objects, and yeah, I know it looks kind of bad. I'm not an icon designer, okay? Is that even a job? If it is, then I don't have that job because I'm terrible at it. Anyway, I also made some decals to put on the walls and then put together a little test room. And is it just me or is that table kind of thick? So here you can see the grab icon and you can grab objects. Get out of here. Yep, see ya. Yep. And there's the vent, which you can easily drag out and... Come on, you little fuck. Come on, get out of here. And you can easily drag him out. You got some decals on the walls. Move this at... No.
Haha, yes, I am robot.
Then I found a text-to-speech and I put some processing on it to make it sound more like a robot, and I also coded some subtitles, and here is the result. Works
Hello, Carlson. This is just a test. Ha 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 ha. Yes. Carlson, more like Slowson. Hee hee. Get it?
And just like that, it works perfectly. There's now a robot in the game with even worse jokes than me, which I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty impressive, because my jokes are like, yeah. So with all of that out of the way, I set up a list of all the mechanics and movement techniques in Karlson, because there are quite a few. And when I released the free version of Karlson, let's just say some people were kind of confused on how to play the game.
How do I get out of here?
How to get that still? I have no idea.
Are you kidding me?
I'm really confused now.
What about if I jump on here?
Nope.
Jump? Oh god! What is this? I don't know how to do that.
I don't understand.
That's not how you jump.
I don't see how I'm supposed to.
Hold A or D.
Did I like miss something?
F control. No!
Got it! No!
And to fix this problem, we should start off a bit slower and then gradually introduce new mechanics instead of just throwing the players into hell on the first stage. Because I understand, not everyone can be an epic gamer like me, come on. I also want to introduce some new mechanics, so I made a gate that you can open in several different ways, like pressing a button, shooting a thing on the wall or something like that, or using a pressure pad. I also made a jump pad that allows you to jump, because like my brother used to say, nice jump, bro. Okay, so let's see here. So far we got annoying robot voice with terrible jokes, milk, blue carpet. So with all of this in place, let's start adding some enemies to kill the player, because that's usually what enemies do. And since we are in a future facility kind of place, I want to make some robots, because you know, everybody knows evil facilities have robots, duh. So first off, I made a little stationary turret guy. Oh, look at that, he's so cute. I just want— oh, no! Now this guy's just stuck in one place, so he's not really that dangerous. So let's give the turret some legs so they can hunt you down, because that's totally not creepy. And so I present to you, leg. Now you might be wondering what the fuck you're looking at here, and to be quite honest with you, I'm not really sure myself, but let's just put this thing on a turret and see what happens. That kind of worked out better than expected, and you can kind of see what I have in mind here. So I gave him 2 legs and made them a bit longer, and what the fuck did I just do? Make it— go away, stop, go— no, don't come near me, just So I made some actual milked up, calcium infused strong bones instead of those weak ass jelly bean legs. And then I put him on a turret again, and it now works much better. The only problem is that he doesn't really want to shoot me, even though he is programmed to be an enemy and shoot me. He's just kind of following me, and I'm bullying him, so why are you— stop following me? And suddenly, foes turn to friends, and I named my new robot friend Billy. I gave him a computer screen so he can display emotions, and I found some robot noises so he can speak, and just like that, Billy is born. And I'm not sure about you guys, but isn't Billy looking kind of thick? Hey Billy, guess what? Bro, you gotta see the top. Come on, really cool up there. Oh, whoops. I'm sorry about that. Come on, I'll show you the top. It's really cool. So cool. I'm sorry, Billy. Come on, yeah, just a little more. That's it. Yeah. Oh no. That sucks. Kobe. Oh. Hey Billy, catch. Yo, Billy, my man, you gotta see this. Come here. See that? That's totally lava. Yeah. I'm having too much fun with— oh! If you want to see more Billy abuse, you can check out my second channel, or my Twitter, or my Discord, or my Facebook, or my Instagram. So, since Billy was meant to be an enemy, but ended up being a friend, we need to make some other enemies instead. So I put together a little rocket, because dodging rockets is always a good time with a lot of fun. Stop following! No, man, you give me a— wow, that was fun, right? So basically, rockets will grow on the rocket launcher, kind of like apples on trees. I'm pretty sure that's how rockets are made. Anyway, once they're ready, they will launch and follow their target, just like real life. I haven't actually been personally followed by a rocket before, but I imagine if I did, it would follow me. But I don't actually know, because I haven't, you know, I haven't been in a situation where a rocket's following me, but you know, it's, you know, so now that we have a lot more obstacles, enemies, and other I did some more planning for the maps, story, and dialogue. Most of the writing I did on Google Docs, but some things can be easier with pen and paper, or so I've heard. So for the first time in my life, I picked up a pen and some paper. What the fuck is this? This is some sort of ancient technology? Look at this. After figuring out how to use a pen and paper, I put together some ideas and finally got to work on actually making stuff. So first I made a screen model for displaying videos in-game. Now I only recently started modeling, and even though this is pretty much just a cube, I'm pretty proud of this screen, okay? Then I found another text-to-speech thing and recorded some voiceover.
Okay guys, I'm gonna buy something, so yeah, I'm gonna leave. Goodbye.
Lines for the robots, and after that I made a quick video in After Effects to put on the screen, and here it all is together.
Hello Carlson, and welcome to Generic Milk Company name. You're my prisoner, and test subject. Ha 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 ha, just kidding. Not really. Anyway, let's get you started. Your only objective is to get to the milk as fast as you can. Sounds fun, right? If you can secure all the milk, you will receive a fantastic price. This is your companion, Billy. He will help you through your journey, so take good care of him. He's pretty fragile. Well, good luck, and don't die. Ha 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 ha, just kidding. Unless...
I still haven't really figured out how I want to design all of the maps yet, but here's a little test I did for the second map that teaches you about sliding and pressure pads and also pushing Billy. So that's kind of the basic idea for these maps, but before starting to design every single map, I want to finish the mechanics and polish the gameplay, otherwise I will just have to redesign all of the maps over again, which is kind of stupid, and I mean I am stupid, but I'm not that stupid. So first off, Billy Cornwall sent me a DM on Twitter and showed me some really cool concept art for the boomer. So I wanted to try and model it in Blender, and here is the old boomer versus the new one. It still looks pretty bad because I haven't done any texturing, but you get the general idea, and at least it looks better than it did before. Also, the bullets in Karlson look really bad, and they're just kind of blue blobs. So I made a bullet model, put some of that sweet glow in there, and also made some bullet explosion using Unity's particle. And here you can see the new shooting in action. It looks much better now, and there's no blue blobs, which is, you know, pretty good. You know what else is a blue blob? Yo mom! And then I made a wall that you can destroy, because, you know, walls are nice, they're around houses, and they're walls. And also because destruction is always fun. And I can probably make some fun maps with this, where you have to trick the missiles into exploding the walls so you can actually proceed. I think, you know, it could be kind of cool. And the next thing I want to work on is grappling, because currently you need a grappling gun for grappling, which just kind of slows down the gameplay, and it means you can't even shoot while grappling, which is kind of boring. And a couple of people suggested that I make grapple points so you can grapple while holding a gun. And someone also sent me a video of a game that I couldn't find the name of, and it seems the developer maybe stopped working on it, but I thought it was really cool. And the gameplay is extremely similar to Karlson, but the only difference is that this game actually looks good and fun, and Karlson is not. But this video really showed me that it's probably better to use grapple points instead of a grappling gun, because it just looks much better. So I made a lamp. Then I made a spinny boy, did some of that coding, and there we go. You can now grapple onto the lamps. Now this is epic because you can now hold guns while grappling, which is great for getting cramps in your fingers, I guess, because you have to hold down so many buttons right now. And with all of this new stuff in place, I put together a new map to showcase everything together. For this test map, I've just shamelessly copied some of the areas from his game and also added some of my own. Again, it's just a test map to test the grappling functionality. I'm not actually going to literally copy his map and put it in the game, obviously. Or am I?